Welcome one, welcome all. Thank you for tuning in to Cedarly Radio, your guide to films playing at the Art House for the week of November 29th to December 5th. I'm your host, Aaron Spears.
And I'm Dave Huffman, Director of Marketing for Cleveland Cinemas. On this week's episode, we'll be discussing Honey Boy and Queen and Slim.
We always like to start off the show with our movie of the week, a personal recommendation from each of us as to something you definitely should be watching this week. Dave, what you got?
Well, now see, when you introduce it and say you definitely should be watching it, then I feel like I need to qualify mine, because I don't know that you definitely need to watch it, but I just want people to revisit a sort of forgotten genre of movies, which is the 80s erotic thriller. And I rewatched.
Guess you were going to go that direction.
I revisited Curtis Hansen's Bedroom Window, starring my beloved Steve Guttenberg, Isabelle Huppert, and Elizabeth McGovern. It's from, I think, 1987, and it's just a fun, typical sort of erotic thriller of the time, sort of a neo-noir movie where Isabelle Huppert is the femme fatale, and it's it's a fairly entertaining little romp. It's on Amazon Prime now, so I would recommend it. Just a qualified recommend, but I think it's worth revisiting. And then the best part about, if you have Amazon Prime or any of those streaming services,
right,
you know how it's always trying to suggest other things.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
My favorite thing has been that it was like, because you watched Bedroom Window,
right, you
might want to watch, and then it just gives you this slew of kind of mediocre to garbage movies, because they're just trying to fill that kind of recommendation void for you. It's but I don't know, I'd actually forgotten that it was a Curtis Hansen film, and I totally forgot that Isabelle Huppert was the kind of femme fatale.
Yeah,
so it was kind of fun rediscovering it in those ways, because I hadn't seen it since I was in high school.
I didn't realize it was one of his movies either. I remember specifically the video box. I haven't seen the movie, but I remember the box being a very enticing to a teenager working at a video store. Right. I was like, oh, what is that one?
But as I was watching it, it's just such a perfect kind of like 80s thing. Like they literally don't make movies like that anymore.
Right.
Sort of, the casual nudity of all the leads and, all this stuff. It's just kind of, a refreshing blast from the past.
Yeah.
So I would say, come on, Hollywood, make some fun kind of erotic thrillers again. I miss them.
I found it really fun, as you said, with like the recommendations on streaming services. As a multi-decade long film geek now, I always find it entertaining, where I was like, I know what my tastes are, you know what your tastes are, but like, what is the algorithm going to make of my selection of this particular movie? Especially if you rate it, as well. So that's going to, further recommend some stuff. You're like, really? That's what you think goes with this kind of thing? Huh. Or like your reasons for watching it are nowhere near what the reasons the algorithm thinks your reasons are for watching that movie.
Right. And what movie are you going to tell everybody they should see? Is it an erotic thriller as well?
Well, I was going to say it is of the 80s ilk, so I find it interesting that we both went in that direction. I chose a classic film because I've been, pressured in a good way to go back and see this film. But also, as we get into like award season, it's, the Thanksgiving holidays, the day that this episode comes out. Everybody, I too, I get tunnel vision on all the movies from this year. I have to catch up with it. I have to see. And I tend to forget that there's a whole wide world of cinema out there that you should be enjoying, as well as going to the theater to see, the current year's award contenders. I finally popped my Almodovar cherry and watched Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown from 1988. And the quick, too long didn't listen is I'm hooked. He's got such a unique voice and approach to storytelling that touches on a lot of classical elements of filmmaking that I adore, but also like keeps it really fresh.
Yeah.
And absolutely fascinating. Like it's technically a screwball comedy, and I wasn't laughing out loud the whole way through. Right. But I don't laugh out loud all the way through, like Bringing Up Baby or classic screwball comedies from the Hollywood Golden Era either. They're just like, oh, that's funny.
Right.
And there are some laugh out loud moments. I did laugh a lot, but it was mostly like, oh, that's good.
Did it make you want to try gazpacho?
No, it wasn't that good. Although it looks very pretty. It's definitely, like you said, like he has that Almodovar red. And all the scenes.
That's the most red of all reds.
It really
is. I think that movie. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like beyond even like lipstick red. It had that too. Like I kept thinking of who's the artist? Lichtenstein. The way he has like those highlighted, like really popping colors, like the reds, the blues, the greens. And it almost, I was playing a game with myself because I didn't start it till like 12:30 a.m. technically this morning. And it held my attention. I stayed awake the whole time. But I was playing this game where, like, when one color would leave the frame, I was like, "Ooh, where's blue coming back?" And then blue would like enter the frame in some other way. Like it's such an amazing kind of visual style that, my film geek brain was like, it's there's a touch of like Wes Anderson's clearly a fan, like the way he stages stuff. I don't know. It was. I don't know what I was really expecting, and I haven't seen any of his films, but I was expecting quality because everybody, mainly you and a few other film friends that really have talked up his stuff and given me a lot of justifiable crap over the years for not having seen any of his movies. So,
well, I'm glad you finally did.
I did. I finally jumped in, and I'm kind of carefully ordering like how I watch. I owed it to my drama teacher, my theater teacher in high school, who loaned me the VHS copy of Women on the Verge, and I didn't watch even back then, and I was like, well, that's the one to dive in with. Let's start with that one.
Exactly.
Well, the other news we wanted to discuss on is we keep kind of beating around the bush on episode after episode of, this movie is going to be up for awards. This one might be a nomination for this actor, for this actress, for this director. And the first of the award nominations are out, especially considering the art house world. The Independent Spirit Awards have released their nominations, which surprised me because I don't remember them. Are they always out like Thanksgiving time?
It feels like it's earlier than
think
usual,
so too,
but maybe. I don't know.
I never really date in my journal like when the awards or the nominations come out for them, but they're also on. These are the ones. They're like the day before the Oscars on.
Right, the night before.
So it seems really early to me, but anyway, they're out. And I think as has happened the last couple of years, A24, the studio leads nominations with I forget now. It's like 12, 15.
Yeah,
it's in the teens.
Sure, but a lot of their films.
They're dominating.
A lot of movies that we have played here at the Cedar Lee or that we are going to be playing here at the Cedar Lee, like The Lighthouse that just finished its run, got a lot of nominations. And then the other one that had the most was Uncut Gems, which opens here on Christmas Day. That's the new movie by the Safdie brothers.
Yep.
So that is, and they got nominated for screenplay and directors. And so that's a very strong contender at the Independent Spirits. But the one movie I wanted to talk about that I was noticing getting appropriate amounts of love is Loose, which was a great movie that played here at the Cedar Lee that barely anybody came to. So I think that's going to be one of those ones that maybe it will end up getting some Oscar love for Octavia Spencer and some other awards at the end of the year. And then people will be like, how come you didn't play Loose? And I'll just point back to the fact that we did.
Right.
And it was, sadly no one wanted to listen when I said it's a great movie and you should go see it.
Yeah, it's that was definitely when I was looking at the list. It was like, oh, that's the perfect example. The ones like we mentioned week in, week out, like, hey, make sure you come see this one. Like this has got you want to be in the loop once the nominations come out.
Absolutely.
I wanted to pause on Uncut Gems for a minute because I was not working at Cedar when Punch Drunk Love came out, but did that play at Cedar or did that go wide?
I wasn't with the company either. It was wide because I was with a national chain at that time, and we played it at our big multiplex.
I was going to say
people hated it at the multiplex, but
it is not a multiplex movie.
No, I really liked it, and I think that was one of the few times that I actually did like a movie that starred Adam Sandler. So there you go.
Exactly where I was going with that. Is this Uncut Gems going to be the first Adam Sandler first run movie that plays at Cedar Lee?
I don't know. I bet I'll find out the answer if Punk Drunk Love did play here or not. But it will, it's certainly going to probably be the first Adam Sandler movie since that one that was in any way an Oscar contender.
Oh,
so
true. That is very much so. Mm-hmm. I was like, there's some first this year. If that's the first Adam Sandler movie, we also had the first kind of quote unquote superhero movie playing an initial release with the Joker as well. Yep. Well, the Independent Spirit Awards are a perfect transition into our first film we're talking about that opens this week at the theater. The only film opening actually at Cedar Lee this particular week is the film Honey Boy from director Alma Har'el and written and starring Shia LaBeouf. It is got a Best Director nominee for Alma Har'el. And it also has, I'm losing my notes here, Best Cinematography, Best Supporting Male, Best Screenplay. Did I just make that up?
Yeah, you just made that up. It did not
Sorry, I just made that part up. Didn't get the best screenplay. But the screenplay is getting a lot of rave reviews for, I don't know if that's because Shia LaBeouf has written it and it's very autobiographical. Right. I'm assuming also because it's a really good story as well. So this is the story of a young actor's stormy childhood and his early adult years as he struggles to reconcile with his father and deal with his own mental health.
Sometimes I wish I was you, man. I'd be famous, have paparazzi, girls chasing me around. I'll
teach you what I know. I'll give you what I have. That's it. Trust me, honey boy, I'm your father.
I found peace in my way.
We're our team, and I know you got what it takes. You're a star, and I know it. That's why I'm here. I'm your cheerleader, honey boy. You trust me?
Yeah.
Good take, good take. You did it. Good job, everybody. Come here. Try like a wall.
I've had glimpses.
You can walk on water till someone tells you that you don't know how to.
You don't listen. That's your problem. And you're selfish.
I'm doing you a favor.
You're doing me a favor?
Who else is gonna give a
You're
felon
doing me a favor?
job?
I don't like you talking to me like I work for you, like
You
I'm your
work
mother.
for me, I'm your boss.
You know what? I don't have to be here. I could be gone a second. I could be gone in a second.
So, Dave, I put in the notes, we need to talk about Shia because his transition to adult actor, whom I'm kind of fascinated with his career recently, was some people would say rocky. I would say fascinating.
I'm going to go in the Rocky category, but it is a fascinatingly rocky trip. That's
okay, we'll do that. Yeah.
Yeah. And it is interesting to see, some people, the way that they deal with fame and celebrity and transitioning from, being a star from your youth into adulthood and changing from having those kind of roles to more mature roles. Not everybody can do that. Not everybody navigates it well. And this is a film that sort of, documents, is obviously based on a lot of his real life experiences.
Right.
So I think we'll get a little bit of greater insight into maybe what led him to become, for a little while, the young man that he was. And then he, seems to have rewrited the ship because he's been doing some great work and he has not been making crazy headlines anymore. You're not seeing all these weird kind of Shia LaBeouf, stories or arrests and things like that. So good for him.
Did you have a favorite crazy Shia LaBeouf story? Because I do have one.
Well, go ahead. Share yours. Maybe it'll be the same as mine.
It's film related though too. So I looked at it as more like performance art. Like it seemed to me like he wasn't really sure where like performance ended and his real personality began at all. And so I can't remember which theater in New York he did this in, but he live streamed just a camera shot of his face in a theater, watching all of his films in chronological order, starting from the very beginning all the way up through the most current film. So, I mean, he was there for like a day and a half or something like that.
Yeah.
And you were welcome to tune, and I would tune in, and I had a text chain going with friends where we would just like every little bit we just like check in on Shia to see what was doing. We're like, now he's sleeping, now he's eating. Oh, look, he took a bathroom break. That sort of thing.
Exciting.
So it was just kind of fascinating. And then he gave some interviews afterwards and kind of mentioned like what it was like to just literally watch himself grow up on screen. It's also kind of an interesting stunt to just like, I don't know, just sit down and watch, 20 whatever plus hours of yourself on screen, your fictional self on screen.
Well, if I were him, I would have taken a bathroom break during at least, the Transformer movies. But, that's just me.
Right.
I would have politely excused myself so I didn't have to watch those again.
Well, since Alma Har'el got the Best Director nomination at the Independent Spirit Awards, it's worth noting she comes from an interesting background of cinematography work, music video work specifically, and a documentary that seemed to be giving this film, and some of the reviews I've read for it, about like how a very unique visual style, groundbreaking way to tell a story. And it seems like, you probably remember as well, back in the 90s, like music videos were like the training ground for,
absolutely,
going through like propaganda
Everyone
films, and David Fincher just ushered through all these amazingly talented directors into feature film work. And I think you get a unique kind of perspective, which actually we'll mention with Queen and Slim here in a minute. Music videos are very short, succinct visual storytelling vehicles that when you apply that to the feature film genre, you can get some really interesting visions on screen that way.
And I do want to say that Honey Boy is opening on, well, it's already opened. It's opened on the 27th by the time this is playing. And then it is right now also set to open at Chagrin and the Capitol on December 6th. So it'll be playing here at the Cedar Lee for a week and a half or so before it's expanding to other locations. Then the other film we want to talk about is a film that we were going to open at the Cedar Lee, but we just didn't have space for. It is a great new movie called Queen and Slim, written and directed by Melina Matsoukas, and it is opening at our Tower City cinemas. This is kind of been heralded as a sort of like African-American Bonnie and Clyde movie. It's about Slim and Queen's first date takes an unexpected turn when a policeman pulls them over for a minor traffic violation. When the situation escalates, Slim takes the officer's gun and shoots him in self-defense. Now labeled cop killers in the media, Slim and Queen feel that they have no choice but to go on the run and evade the law.
So that one, I mean, that's in the trailer, so I feel like that synopsis is not spoiler territory.
No. Yeah, no. That
even though it feels like that's spoiler territory.
That is the impetus for the entire story.
Yeah.
But it reminded me, I did get to see this one a few weeks ago, and it's a very good movie. And it reminded me in college where I had a gangster film class, and we did a whole section just on outlaw couples.
Ooh.
So this would totally be a great new modern outlaw couple movie where they are, on the lam and become total folk heroes in the black community for what people see as, finally someone standing up to the injustices of how the police are handling, basic kind of traffic stops and things like that for members of their community. And it's, it's a beautiful, very visual movie, and it's got great performances with Daniel Kaluuya, who of course was nominated for an Oscar for Get Out, and this part of this film was shot here in Cleveland, so you'll see some Cleveland connections. The story starts in Cleveland, and then he was actually just in town. I don't know, maybe he still is in town filming a new movie. So we had a screening of this with him in attendance over at the Capitol a few weeks ago. So it was nice to be able to have the actual star of the movie there to watch the movie.
So shot partially in Cleveland, but isn't it set in Cincinnati? I thought I read in the reviews that it's a Cincinnati.
No, it starts in Cleveland. I mean, they reference Cleveland. You know what I mean? Cleveland. So yeah, no, it's Cleveland in the but then they're on the lam, so there's other things that happen throughout. You know what I mean? So there might be scenes they might have
passed through Cincinnati.
And there's a lot of it is down south, and I feel like New Orleans. Now I can't even remember, but yeah.
Well, they're in
New
much
Orleans, warmer places.
Right?
Yeah, New Orleans is, and then they're trying to make it to, and they end up in Florida, and they're trying to make it to Cuba as part of their escape.
So before mentioning Melina Matsoukas, the writer-director of this one, a quick question for you, since you've seen this movie. The trailer, to me, kind of played it up as these two characters are kind of like a cipher for a lot of current societal issues, up to things from Black Lives Matter to, Colin Kaepernick taking a knee and police brutality and excessive force and all that. But some of the reviews I've read were saying that it starts with that as a these characters are a cipher for those issues, but it's a great movie because they grow into themselves, and you get to know these characters because they also don't know each other. It's like a first Tinder date, and then they're just stuck together, and how it really builds to a really powerful emotional impact because it goes beyond just the metaphorical story.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's true that this starts out, I was joking, it's either the best or the worst first date ever. You know what I mean? Because you've found somebody that you ultimately, you're clicking with, but you're in this terrible, stressful situation where you're sort of forced to bond, but then they become each other's, rock to lean on in these very challenging times. So it's a really beautiful movie, gorgeous cinematography, and I liked it quite a bit. So I encourage you to check it out.
It has the mark of it is a feature film debut for the director. She was the director behind, I think, all of the episodes, at least season 1 of Insecure on HBO. So kind of hopping from genre to genre. She's also, if you look her up, has over 60 some music video credits, which we kind of mentioned, we were talking about Honey Boy. So she's coming from background in, succinct visual storytelling in the music video genre, but then also doing some, I think Insecure's, there's great dramatic moments to that show, but I think it's mostly a comedy, and now making this as your fictional directorial debut really is flexing a lot of creative muscles in a lot of different areas of visual entertainment just over the past 8 years or so. And we'll be right back with the special events this week at the theater. Well, special events are becoming a bigger and bigger portion of the theatrical programming, and that is definitely the case here at the Cedar Lee Theater. So we want to take some time to let you know about the special events that are coming up this week.
We have another presentation of our National Theater Live series, and that's the new play Hansard. It's playing Sunday, December 1st at 11 a.m. This is starring two-time Olivier Award winners Lindsay Duncan and Alex Jennings in this brand new play by Simon Wood.
Fathom Events presents When Harry Met Sally, the 30th anniversary release. It is already 30 years since Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan teamed up for that movie. The presentations of that are Sunday, December 1st at 4 p.m. and Tuesday, December 3rd at 7 p.m. And it is also playing same date, same times at the Chagrin Cinemas. If you're not close to the Cedar Lee, you can head out to Chagrin to see that film as well.
And I think that's, again, one of those perfect examples of a great comedy that is so much more fun and so much better when you see it on the big screen with an audience.
It's one, too, that there's so many, like, you forget, I think maybe just because that's how time works,
right?
How many, like, romantic comedy tropes came out of When Harry Met Sally. Like it is almost like Die Hard's a template movie for action films for a while there. I think When Harry Met Sally is like, will they, won't they get together? Like it wasn't the first time it did that, but it was such a cultural impact that became the romantic comedy template for years to come afterwards.
And it's probably the best non-Woody Allen movie of all time. So.
Oh yeah, I'll second that.
And then we also have another Fathom event, Faustina, Love and Mercy. This is playing Monday, December 2nd at 7 p.m. In 1931, Jesus appeared to Faustina Kowalska in The King of Mercy. The gripping new docudrama Love and Mercy presents unknown facts and recently disclosed documents that shed new light on this vision of Faustina. And this is also playing at our Chagrin Cinemas location.
The Met Opera Live in HD presents Akhenaten, the encore show, Wednesday, December 4th at 1 p.m. This is the one we mentioned on previous episode. It's Philip Glass's contemporary opera, and it's garnering rave reviews and is a solid must-see status for opera fans, and also, I would say, Philip Glass fans as well. It will also be playing in its encore show Wednesday, December 4th at 1 p.m. at Chagrin Cinemas as well as at Cedar Lee.
Yeah, and the buzz from this opera is very strange. I mean, people absolutely loved it. I had friends that were seeing it that were literally texting me during the intermissions, and these are not like opera people.
Right.
Like they had gone for other reasons.
Yeah.
And they were just like, this is amazing. And I'm like, all right, I've got to try to see it.
Presumably Philip Glass fans then, or...
No, more like theater people.
Oh, okay.
They were like all just your general theater people, and they all just were raving about it. So it's a very unique, different approach. I know a lot of people kind of go for the more traditional operas, but this one is a much more modern take on it. And then speaking of traditional kind of classic art forms, we have a Bolshoi ballet this coming week, and that is La Corsaire, and that's going to be playing Thursday, December 5th at 7 p.m. Inspired by Lord Byron's epic poem, this jewel of the repertoire boasts a lavish production complete with a shipwreck, pirates, and some of ballet's most renowned scenes.
That sounds fascinating to me, because when I think of ballet, I'm definitely not thinking of pirates and shipwrecks.
Well, what about, no, I guess Pirates of Penzance is an opera, but
right,
yes.
Musical, but yeah, different. Well, if you're a regular listener and wondering where our Cedar Lee 3 picks are for this week, follow the links in the show notes or just head over to any of our social media accounts where we'll be posting our picks that this week were inspired by Honey Boy, and Shia LaBeouf playing now his, I guess, autobiographical father's kind of role, kind of coaching a young boy through the pratfalls of being a child actor. So we decided to look specifically at best performances from former child stars, as Shia LaBeouf, as we mentioned when we were talking about Honey Boy, has given us some great examples of his actual acting talent outside of being a child or a Transformers star with Charlie Countryman, Nymphomaniac, American Honey, Peanut Butter Falcon just from a few months ago at Cedar too. So we're taking a look at some non-Shia LaBeouf roles from performers who were former child stars. Would Shia LaBeouf have been on your list if we weren't taking inspiration from Honey Boy this week?
Well, I like Shia LaBeouf. I don't know yet that I've seen a performance by him specifically that has made me go, oh my God, he's amazing. You know what I mean? I think he's very good and stuff, but so far I haven't been. Yeah, I don't know that he stands out. I think he's a talented person and a unique, star. I guess, but I haven't yet seen like, oh my God, Shia LaBeouf knocked it out of the park. But maybe he does in Honey Boy. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, we'll find out.
I did really like him in Peanut Butter Falcon earlier this year. I thought he was the best part of that movie, so I take that back. He was very good in that.
But like you said, it's like that the list we're looking at for best performances from former child stars are like that wow performance. You're like, this is now what I'm thinking of when I think of you as a performer kind of thing. So, well, join us next week when we will be discussing a couple new films as of right now that will be opening, our Dark Waters and the critically acclaimed Waves. As always, thank you for tuning in to Cedar Lee Radio and lending us your ears this week. All the music heard on the show is original music written by Grant Heineman and performed by the New Heights Jazz Ensemble, used with their permission, of course. Visit clevelandcinemas.com for correct showtimes and to purchase advance tickets. Also, there are links in the show notes. You can use those if you'd like as well. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We are at Cedar Lee Theater, spelled with an R-E at the end because we're fancy like that. Don't forget to subscribe to the show wherever you find your podcast, and while you're subscribing, leave us a rating and review, or better yet, tell a fellow film geek about the show. We'll see you at the movies.